Hello and welcome everyone. It is Thursday, September 20th, 2018. Yesterday was New Comic Book Day, best day of the week. That means it's time for another new comic haul video, and again, holy crap, was there a bunch of good stuff out this Wednesday. So many good covers, first appearances. There's a really, kind of what I think is a super important cameo in one of these books, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, but just some really good stuff. This whole new DC Black Label, that first Batman, damn man, was that good. That's, wow. Anyways, we'll get into that in just a second. As usual, I want to thank all my subscribers. I love all the comments I'm getting. I really appreciate, I put out my videos and I hit on most stuff, but occasionally I miss stuff. And you guys are all awesome, because if I miss something, you'll say, hey, Jim, there's, as an example, this Mr. and Mrs. X #3. I totally missed that there was that new character showing up in there. And a couple of my subscribers, Daz, and a few of you said, hey, pretty sure there's a new character showing up in there. And sure enough, there was. So I would have probably not grabbed that if I hadn't got that comment. So thanks so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. I love being part of this community, and it's what it's all about. We're all kind of helping each other out, so it's great. And as usual, I want to do a shout out this week to a comic shop. This time I'm doing to the comic shop that I go to. It's a small shop in Abbotsford, BC. It's called Heroes for Sale. It's run by Ivan and his family. They run it. It's a smaller, like I say, it's a pretty small shop. It's just they have a decent back issue bin selection, but not huge. But he brings in everything, anything you want. And the thing I like is he brings in a lot of these independent titles. Like last week he got Rags #1. He brings in a lot of the Red 5 comics, Aftershock, all that stuff. So it's great because I get all my comics through him. So I buy the odd one online if it's something he can't get, but pretty much everything I get is from him. So it's awesome. So yeah, the address and phone number and stuff is down below in the comments if you want to get in touch with him or set up a pull list. He's really good, and he's super helpful. So great shop. I love going there. I love supporting smaller shops too. It's just it feels a lot more personal when you go in there and they know your name and you talk to them and everything else. You're not just another number that they're looking at. So yeah, Heroes for Sale, Abbotsford, awesome shop. Ivan, I will talk to you, I don't know, next week probably. Anyways, I'll be there Wednesday, grab more books. So yeah, we'll get into some books that I picked up this week that I ordered a while ago, or I missed a while ago. This first one is War Bears #1. I grabbed 2 copies of that. That came out, it's either last week or the week before. Margaret Atwood, who did Handmaid's Tale, is behind that one, so I haven't read it, but I will definitely take a read of that. It looks interesting. That's one I wanted to get. And I picked up Fantastic Four #2. I got most of the other covers, but I didn't get cover A, and I wanted cover A because it had the Griever on the cover. And that is her first full appearance in the book as well, so I definitely wanted to make sure to grab that. So I got a couple copies of that one. And I got 2 copies of Venom #5, the second printing. That's a really cool cover. I like that. Man, the artwork is so good in this Venom series right now. Stegman's art is just awesome. Man, it's so good. And it's so much better than Watchmen. So much better. I know if anybody follows Stegman on Twitter, man, he's a funny dude. But that's his hashtag, better than Watchmen. That's awesome. Man, if I ever meet the guy, that's the first thing I gotta say to him. Better than Watchmen, or my new hashtag is no sewing. Because, yeah, I definitely read Venom, so I won't be sewing. Anyways, some of the independents I picked up this week. I got Britannia, Lost Eagles of Rome #1, 3, sorry. Just grabbed the one cover. I'm really liking that series. I'm a big history fan, and I love reading about the Roman Empire and their whole rise and fall and everything. So that's a pretty cool story. I like it. Grabbed G.I. Joe American Hero Silent Option #1, just cover A. But Hama's behind this one, and he was doing G.I. Joe back in the Marvel days, so I had to pick that one up and see what that's like. Death or Glory #5, got cover A and cover B for that. Again, I'm really liking that story. I'm like, Rick Remender's good, and the art's really good in there too. So Burnouts #1, I grabbed cover A, and I believe this one is cover B. Not sure, but anyways, I haven't read that one yet, so we'll take a look at that in a minute. Gideon Falls #1, the director's cut. That is a really good series. I highly recommended this one when it first came out, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware. And so I think this one is just a reprint of #1 with some added bonus material in the back. So John Wick #3. This was one of my picks this week. I got 3 covers for that, A, B, and the photo variant for C. Now there is a new character that shows up in here. It's not Sophia, who I thought it possibly could be, but it's not. It's her name is Calamity, and she's another assassin, psycho assassin killer kind of deal. So kind of cool. It'd be neat if she shows up in the movie. That would be awesome. Got Patience, Conviction, Revenge. Got 2 covers for that. That is cover B, I believe, and this one is cover A. I think that one's cover A. From Aftershock, I recommend all of you pick up #1 comics from Aftershock, Red 5, Image. So many of those are getting optioned, and the stories and artwork is actually pretty good in a lot of them too. So definitely ones you want to look at. Black Badge #2, grab that one. I like #1, so I'm looking forward to reading that. Haven't read it yet, but it looks interesting. Olivia Twist #1, I grabbed that. It's from those Dark Horse Burger books. Definitely going to read that one. Haven't read it yet. Ice Cream Man #7. Got cover A and cover B for that. That's a series I've been liking. Not all the stories, not all the issues have been great. Most of them have been pretty good. There's kind of hit and miss in some of the stories, but I really like Ice Cream. I like the idea behind it, how you got the Ice Cream Man going around and there's horror stories everywhere he stops, so it's kind of cool. And I just grabbed the one cover for Seven to Eternity #11. That's been a really good, another Rick Remender series. That's been pretty good. So that's it from Independence. Some good stuff in there. Like I say, anytime you get these issue #1s from the Independence, they're ones you want to get. So from DC, I'm going to start with them, and this is one I'm sure a lot of you picked up. Okay, sorry, I had to change my battery there. This is one you had to pick up, or that I picked up that I'm sure a lot of you got. I got Batman Damned #1, and as I'm sure you're all well aware, it's if you haven't picked it up, it's a magazine size. It's quite wide, as you can see. It's quite a bit wider than your normal comic and taller too. So make sure you have magazine bags and boards and stuff if you want to protect that. So there's cover A and cover B for that. It is really good. It's really dark. It's definitely for mature readers. Don't buy that for some little 7-year-old kid. You'll probably traumatize them. But it's not super violent or anything, but it's definitely geared towards adults, and it's really, really good. You got John Constantine showing up in there, a bunch of other people showing up. And you know, I won't give too much away, but it's pretty well known that the Joker dies and he's investigating and stuff, so that one looks really good. Highly recommend that. That was one of my picks for this week, and man, it didn't let me down. That's a good one. Picked up Injustice vs. Masters of the Universe #3. I've been liking that storyline so far, so definitely gonna keep going with that. Got Teen Titans #22, regular cover A and a really nice cover B. Man, DC is just kicking butt with these covers. They are putting out some really, really nice cover Bs. One I didn't recommend, but I usually get. I'm getting the whole Aquaman storyline. I got Aquaman Sink Atlantis Part 4 cover A, and Josh Middleton cover B. I know I didn't recommend this cover B because, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I had it on my pull list, so I'm going with it all the way through. But it's an okay cover. I've found a couple of his covers lately haven't been all that great, so I don't know. I still grabbed it, but anyways. Silencer 49. This is another good one. Or sorry, Nightwing 49, not Silencer 49. Nightwing 49, cover A, and a really nice cover B. And I am going to show some images in here, so just be warned, because I don't want to ruin this book for you if you haven't read it. But right at the end, I mentioned those lieutenants of the dark web, so they're kind of dragging the story out with that. As you know, they're going to probably drop one in every once in a while. So he meets up with this guy, Simiel Sinus, the Celtic god of paths, near the end of the book, and he buys him some time because he asks him the right question. And but he's mentioning the dark web again. So those lieutenants, the other two lieutenants, are definitely going to be popping up in different issues and stuff. And this Nightwing 49 ties in with Batman 55, which just came out this week, and is leading up to next issue, Nightwing 50. So it's it's a pretty good story. And talking about Batman 55, I did put Batman back in my pull list. And I mentioned in my last video, I thought this was a foil cover for 55, but it's actually not. It's 56 is the foil cover, because in October there's a whole bunch of foil covers that DC's putting out. And at the end of this video, I'm going to put the whole list of all the books so you can look at which ones are, if you don't know. So Batman kind of goes back to his traditional outfit in this one. Gorgeous B cover, as I showed in my last video. And this was a good story, actually. I mean, I hate to say it because Tom King's been sucking ass lately, but this, there's this guy comes into the country, and again, I'm showing images, so if you haven't read it, turn it off. So there's this sniper guy, he's up in this apartment, kills the guy who lived in the apartment, and then he, oops, wrong page. He goes and shoots Nightwing right in the head. Now I'm guessing it's going to be a graze off the side of his head or something, because there's no way they're going to kill off Nightwing. But anyways, yeah, he gets shot in the head. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next issue with him. That'll be the big issue 50. We're going to find out a bit more about that. So this one is another one, Justice League number 8. It's got the Legion of Doom on the cover. And the Batman Who Laughs stars in this one. And boy, this is one you're going to want to get. This is a gorgeous cover B, by the way, as I showed. That was one of my cover picks. But there's some really important stuff that shows up in here. So I am going to, again, show some images and talk about this. So if you don't want to know, turn it off. But so all the way through, basically Lex Luthor is dealing with the Batman Who Laughs. Well, I should go start beginning. There's a few things that show up in here. You get kind of a new origin story for Starman, and it looks like he gets zapped with some energy from the totality, and that's what gives him his powers. And then that draws the attention of Lex Luthor. But Lex Luthor, through most of this, is talking to the Batman Who Laughs down in under the Legion of Doom, their building, their headquarters. He's chained up in this room, and right at the end, he's talking to Lex Luthor, and he's mentioning that the source wall, which broke, was actually a prison to keep somebody imprisoned in behind the source wall. And the name of that person is Perpetua. So she's like this omnipotent goddess who controlled all the 7 forces that they're looking for. So she's like this super powerful evil villain. And right at the end, you see Batman and Martian Manhunter sitting there looking at, they've got the totality kind of sitting in this box. And it turns out that it looks like you get this image of this, it looks like a female. And that, I think, is Perpetua. So technically, that's going to be your first cameo of Perpetua. She's mentioned in here. And that, I think, is her first cameo. So that is a really good book. Like, if you haven't got that one, buy that book, because when she becomes a big deal down the road, which she's going to be, because you're going to get a first appearance of her at some point down the road. That's the first time she's mentioned and her first cameo. So yeah, definitely get that book. That is a good one. And then when you learn, because you're learning that the source wall technically was a prison, you're getting a little bit more information about it too. So that's a really good one. I'm really liking that Justice League so far. It's been pretty good. Anyways, that's it for DC. Got a whole bunch of stuff for Marvel. Why is that not coming out there? So, Return of Wolverine, I'm sure a lot of you are aware of that one. I grabbed 2 copies of cover A only. There was a bazillion covers for this, and, you know, it was okay. It wasn't too bad. I read through it. His hot cause show up, and Persephone's talked about in there, but like I say, I'm pretty sure she showed up in one of those miniseries. Couple of my subscribers have mentioned that. It's a series I wasn't buying. I wasn't reading it, so I'll have to try and track down those, but you can't go wrong with number 1, so grabbed it. Life of Captain Marvel number 3, that is a total cover buy. I love the cover on that, so I bought that one. Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 1, I got the regular cover. I got that awesome Delato, it's a regular price variant too, which is just great. That doesn't happen all the time when you do, and that's just a gorgeous one, so love that one. And I got the PS4 game variant as well for that. Immortal Hulk number 6, cover A. And cover B for that. And again, I'm going to talk about this one for a second, show some images. So Dr. Fry, that radioactive dude from issue number 2, he got hauled away at the end, and you know, you didn't know what happened to him. But now it turns out in here, he's in the secret laboratory, and they've got him inside a container, and they're trying to use him to create a bunch more creatures. So more than likely they're trying to capture the Hulk, to combine the Hulk with this guy. So we'll see what happens with that, but it's kind of interesting. And of course, Walter Lankowski's still around, and he's talking about, and they're talking about the One Below All still. So we still haven't seen the One Below All, but Captain Marvel makes an appearance in here, and they're trying to, the Avengers, there's a new Avengers team that is put together at the end of Avengers, and that Avengers team shows up in this book, so that's pretty cool. That's one you're going to want to follow. I love that Immortal Hulk series. It's been really good. And it's kind of interesting to see that Dr. Fry now is being used to kind of create more creatures. So I'll have to see where that goes. That's, I don't know what's going to come of that, but there's obviously going to be something new coming down the road from that. Infinity Warps number 1, Soldier Supreme. Grab that because that's your first full appearance of Soldier Supreme. Haven't read it, but definitely wanted to get that one. Spider-Geddon number 3, cover A and cover B. Your first appearance of Uncle Ben as a superhero fighting crime with Spider-Man. And this is what I was talking about earlier, Mr. and Mrs. X number 3. This is the first appearance of Professor X's daughter. And what the heck was his wife's name? I got it written down because I can't remember what the heck her name was. It was Lilandra or something like that. What the heck was it? Oh yeah, Lilandra Naramani. So she's a genetically engineered egg, and then that hatches into the, or grows into this girl. So that's Xandra is going to be her name. That's her first appearance in the book. So we'll see where that goes. She gets captured and taken away, and then they have to go find her in the next issue. Of course, got to go rescue her from the bad people. Keep that storyline going. Keep us buying comics. You know, we can't stop buying the comics, that's for sure. At least I can't. Anyways, Venom First Host number 4. 2 copies of cover A, because that is your first cover appearance of Eddie Brock wearing that new symbiote. That showed up in issue 3, so that's your first cover appearance of that. And that's a pretty good story. Again, man, this is... I wasn't expecting a whole lot from this series, to be honest. And it's actually been pretty good. I read the first one, like, it's okay, but yeah, it's actually not bad. So again, I'm showing images in here, and you learn some of his powers in here. He's able to go invisible. He's able to create these different pheromones and stuff which confuse and his opponents and stuff. But interesting thing in this, if you haven't read it, turn it off because I'm showing images. And at the end of this, Telkar's fighting, what the heck is her name? I can never remember her name. Milans. Or he's fighting Venom, and then he slices Milans with his broken spear kind of thing, and slices her suit open because he released this Doomsday virus, and he's trying to kill her. But the symbiote leaves Venom and wraps around her to seal up her suit. But now he's left alone, and Telkar kind of looked like he had killed the Venom symbiote. But what happens is obviously Eddie Brock, the symbiote, isn't dead. So now he's back to being Venom, but the symbiote spawn is on her. So more than likely what's going to happen is next issue, Milans is going to get empowered with the symbiote spawn, and she'll become, a female version of that symbiote. So you're probably going to get another appearance of it. I don't know if technically it's a new character, but it'll be her with the symbiote on, I would think, in the next issue. So definitely keep going with that series if you're buying it now, because it's really good. So that's that one. Avengers number 8. This is another good one. So in this one, it's again, you get the new headquarters, but surprisingly the headquarters turns out to be that fall Alpha Celestial gets raised from the ocean floor by all the other Celestials and turned into the new headquarters for the Avengers. So the new Avengers are now using the Alpha Celestial as their headquarters, and they've got a new Avengers team is assembled in here as well. Like say with Captain Marvel, T'Challa, Black Panther is now the head of the Avengers team going forward, and more than likely that's what's going to happen in the movies down the road too. So that's because they're trying to make Captain Marvel and Black Panther more prominent. So that's a good one to get. I highly recommend that one. Thor number 5, man, this one took me by surprise. I knew that it was going to be that's a really good one. You got the A and B cover there. That's a really good comic this week. So I knew that Old Man Thor and Old Man Wolverine Phoenix were going to be fighting, and they do, and that's great. But then again, Jason Aaron throws in this interlude. I mentioned Thor number 700 a while back was a really good one to get, because in that one you have Black Galactus who fights Ego the Living Planet. Ego the Living Planet becomes Ego the Necroworld. And so in the middle of this comic, you get this interlude, and you've got Ego the Necroworld talking in here. And on his planet, there's this little worm, and this worm wants to challenge him to combat. And of course, Ego's laughing, whatever, your worm will kill you. And he ends up blowing himself up and everything else. But the worm doesn't die. So I don't know what something's going to come of that. I don't know. But if you haven't got this comic, definitely pick it up, because more than likely, whatever that worm is, probably some shapeshifter. Maybe it's Loki. I don't know. Who knows who it is. But that will end up becoming something important down the road. I can almost guarantee it. They're not going to throw that in the middle of a comic for nothing. So, and then right at the end of this one, you get your first appearance of the new Doom. So it looks like it's a combination of Iron Fist. They call him Starbrand Supreme, the master of the mystic vengeance. He is Doom. Kneel before his omnipotence and despair. So that's your first appearance of him. So you got another mashup first appearance, which I was not expecting in that book. So man, if you're not buying Thor and Jason Aaron's writing, boy, buy it and keep going with it. I've been going with this series all the way along. I almost dropped it because of the artwork at the beginning. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I kind of got my head around it, and I'm glad I did, because there's a lot of stuff popping up in here that's really good. And the last one I picked up this week was Venom number 6, and this one has some more good stuff happening in here. Last issue, Rex Strickland his symbiote merged with Venom, and you get your first appearance. I believe it's the first appearance of War Venom. So that's Rex Strickland and Venom, and that's called War Venom. That's what Kate's called him. So that is pretty cool. And then they go and fight Grendel, and of course they blow up Grendel. But who shows up out of Grendel? None other than Null. So Null fights Eddie Brock, obviously, and Venom. And I'm not gonna give the whole thing away, but at the end it looks like Venom has Eddie Brock is laying on the ground. Venom's just kind of all oozing all over the ground. You can't hear him anymore. You're thinking, oh man, maybe they're dead and Null's gone. And I'm kind of leaning towards, I think what happened is Null ended up merging with Rex Strickland, which was the missing symbiote he needed. And now he's whole again. So we probably won't hear from Null for a while. And all of a sudden, he'll be coming back as his full self. So, yeah, man, I love that Venom series. That is just an epic run. And it's so much better than Watchmen. So much better than everything else right now. Okay, so that's it. So coming down the road, there's a few things I want to talk about. I know I've mentioned this before. Web of Venom, Carnage Born number 1. It's a one-shot that comes out November 21st. The thing I want to mention is, when I mentioned it before, I only knew there was a cover A and a cover B. So cover A is a Kyle Hotz cover, which is on the screen right now. Cover B is an Ian Betterman cover, and I think the image I'm showing is I can't find an actual full image of it, but I think that's cover B. Don't quote me on that one. But there is, just so you're aware, and the reason I'm bringing this up, there is a 1/100 Virgin variant of cover A, the Kyle Hotz cover. So if you want that cover, I would talk to your shop and find out if you can pre-order it or get your name on the list that you want it, because that's going to be a good one to get. I highly recommend that one. I don't recommend a lot of these high variants because they are pricey. A lot of shops are going to want, just so you're aware, it's going to be probably in the $100 range, $75 to $100 range. So if you want it, be prepared to pay a bit of money for it, because it is a 1 for 100, and I think that one's going to be good because Cates himself has said this is a huge issue. It's going to tie into his current Venom series. So more than likely it's going to be tying Carnage into his Venom series, which will then, in my mind, lead Carnage to having a story arc with Carnage in his whole Venom run. So that is a highly good one to get. Amazing Spider-Man number 10. A couple of my subscribers have sent me messages saying, "Hey Jim, there's a really nice J. Scott Campbell cover for Amazing Spider-Man 10." And yeah, there is. It's a nice looking cover, and I believe that's just a regular priced variant. So don't quote me on that because I can't find out if it is or not, but it's a nice cover either way. Walking Dead Day. It's the 15th anniversary of Walking Dead. That is in October. And there's a whole bunch of blind bags. I've mentioned this once before, but I'm going to mention it again. If there's any issues you want, they're all kind of reprints. They're people of each issue has a different artist, and they've redrawn one of the issues. So there's issue 1, number 7. There's a whole bunch of them. But in the blind bags, they're broken down like this. So there's a color trade is 50% of the comics. Color Virgin is 25% of the comics. A black and white trade is 15%, and a black and white Virgin is 10%. So that's how they're broken down. If you get a black and white Virgin, that's a 1 for 10 basically. That's kind of what you're looking for. They'll all be good though. So anyways, Justice League number 9 starts that Drowned Earth story arc, and as I mentioned a little while just in this video, that issue number 8 mentioned that Perpetua. And that she was kind of being imprisoned inside the Source Wall, and that was her prison. But now that it's broken, she's more than likely coming out. So we're probably going to start learning little snippets about her all the way going forward. So if you haven't been picking up Justice League number 9 or Justice League, I highly recommend it because you never know where she's going to make her first appearance. So anyways, definitely going to want that. I mentioned earlier the DC foil covers list. That's on the screen now. There's a whole bunch of foil covers coming out in October, and from what I've seen a couple images, they look pretty nice. So if there's any comics on there you want, maybe talk to your shop, make sure you get some of those. Next week, I don't normally mention stuff in the following week. I'll mention it in my top picks video, but these are ones you're definitely going to want next week. Stranger Things number 1 comes out. 4 covers for that from Dark Horse. And Justice League Dark number 3, that is your first full appearance of the Upside Down Man. So make sure that one is on your pull list. Make sure your shop knows you want that comic, because that's going to be a hot one. And the last one I'm mentioning, mentioned it before, is Firefly from Boom Studios. That comes out in November. So that is another really good one coming down the road. So anyways, that's it, folks. I'll talk to you later in the week with my top picks video. Take care for now. Happy hunting. Bye for now.